Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak Kudash, the honors under the elders Apostle Green Millstone, the elders Green Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect. This is here, Summerside Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, surveying the truth and sincerity. Yes, from Brother Chayaba from GMS Plain Tables Camp. Come back with another lesson to his spirit. Yes, so this lesson be based off of this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says, regardless of a peace deal with Russia, the West sanctions only emboldened Russia's military-industrial complex. As we know, there's a lot of things are happening. Not only are a lot of things happening right now as we're speaking, within the United States, a lot of things are happening around the world too. Of course, in as prophets, we're constantly looking, as scriptures say, we're constantly on the, we're likened onto as watchmen, meaning, we're constantly watching for the current events. It says, even if a peace deal transpires between Russia and Ukraine in the coming months, the relationship between Russia and the West will be complicated in the coming years/decade. And this point, is very hard to see this place going on a decade. Ultimately Trump, this can be the last term. And Yahweh Tizad, it is the last term. It says the war that transpired in Ukraine with Western forces leveling sanctions against individual Russian figures and nuclear threats has only emboldened Russia's military-industrial complex and their nation's resolve. Yeah, that's for a reason. Scriptures say that pretty much the nations will be in preparation for the war, not, slowing down the war because or slowing down on the, pretty much what this preparation for the upcoming war, just because a peace deal has been made. It says, let's go real quick, Joel chapter 3 and 9, or let's go ahead and get Joel chapter 3 and 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Read it again. It says Joel chapter 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. The Gentiles are these other nations, the heathen nations. Of course, us Israelites, we're in captivity. We're under our oppressors. Real Israelites are in captivity. The real Israelites aren't at the top, which, the small hats like to say today. Again, we are at the bottom. The real children of Israel will be at the bottom before the coming of Yahushai. They won't be at the top, be what, on average, the richest people upon the planet Earth. It won't happen. And the small hats, those JOOs, those are not the real people. You see a lot of them, they have positions where, again, they're, and they're very, very wealthy. And you look at what's going on in that land is complete wickedness. You see, these pink rays going on over there. Yeah, Khan. So it says prepare war. Again, the Gentiles are the other nations. So that's what the other nations are doing. Again, we're ultimately we're waiting. We're waiting upon Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to deliver us. Because as we know, ultimately these other nations are preparing for World War III. And once World War III comes, as is prophesied within the scriptures, this place will be destroyed. When I say this place, I'm referring to Babylon the Great, which is America. All prophesied throughout the scriptures, throughout the Old Testament, and throughout the New Testament. The scriptures will talk about that fire that will happen. And the scriptures say, that fire will take place in Babylon the Great. That great fire, that lake of fire will take place in Babylon the Great. The hellfire. The hellfire is a nuclear destruction. It's not, a spiritual underground mythical hell. No, it's ultimately what? It's a nuclear destruction that would take place in Babylon the Great. So it says, continuing on the article, in the past 2 years, Russia's military production has surged past expectations, with Rostec, the country's leading military defense contractor, delivering 65% of its annual weapons quota in just 6 months, a pace that has NATO officials openly questioning their own industrial capacity. Key points, it says, sanctions backfired spectacularly. Instead of crippling Russia, Western restrictions forced Moscow to innovate, localize, and scale up its defense industry, turning it into a self-sustaining juggernaut. Exactly. Why? Because as the scriptures prophesied, prepare war. It didn't say slow down war. It didn't say, oh, no, peace is coming, so, let's chill on war. No, it said prepare war. Let's go and get the Hebrew word for prepare. Hebrew word kodash, which means to consecrate, sanctify, prepare. To devote, to appoint. Yes, a war is being consecrated. Getting the word for consecrated within, the regular definition, it says make or declare something. It says devote something exclusively to a particular purpose. See? So, war is being devoted to. These guys are, again, they're really preparing. They are preparing for war. It's not going to slow down. It says the 214 revival. Russia's push to produce 20 passenger jets annually by 2029 signals a broader shift. Military tech is bleeding into civilian sectors, creating a dual-use economy that thrives on conflict. It says NATO scramble for relevance, with Europe diverting 391 billion in leftover sea funds to militarization and pledging 5% of GDP to defense. The bloc is admitting what it never wanted to. Russia is outmaneuvering it. Yeah, and again, so no, nothing that Trump can do, nothing that anybody can do, to slow down this war. Trump can't stop it. Jeremiah 51:8 says Babylon is suddenly fallen. Or the side of verse 6 says Babylon hath been in golden cup. So Jeremiah chapter 51:7. Babylon hath been in golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken over wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Let's get this in the NLT. It says Babylon has been a gold cup in the Lord Yahweh's hands, a cup that made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank Babylon's wine, and it drove them all mad. Yeah. When you get that word for, in the Hebrew, for mad, it says to praise, boast, be boastful. It says to make a fool, or yes, it says to make a fool of, make into a fool, act madly, act like a madman. And ultimately that cup, that Babylon, ultimately that cup that made all the earth drunken is, the ways of America, the philosophies and ways of America. These other nations that have taken all those ways. So what just as everything with the industrial, corporate, the alphabet lifestyle, the alphabet alternative lifestyle that's heavily pushed here. That's literally Babylon and America, the government here, they're literally paying other nations, or they're literally sending the alphabet community over there, to promote that. And again, what, all of the deals that America makes, and all the wicked agendas that it has that's pushing, what these other nations are drinking it. It says, therefore, the nations are mad. Yeah, and that's why they're mad. Yeah, and hey, what it's literally turned them mad. Again, it says to act madly, to act like a madman. To read again, it says Jeremiah chapter 51:7, Babylon's bidding gold the cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her, take upon for her pain, if so she may be healed. Exactly. So this place won't be healed. If so she may be healed, meaning that it won't be healed. And you can't take upon for her pain. So it doesn't matter who's in office, doesn't matter who the Lord puts in office. What is not ultimately what the Lord putting people in office is just going to speed it up. It's just going to speed up the destruction of America. Yeah, so again, the other nations drinking of that wine, everything that America comes with, the spirit of America, well, they're mad. They're crazy. Now what? They're willing to go to war. It said verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Yeah, exactly, because again, because of what these other nations will turn their back against America. And we're seeing it right now as we speak. But what, turn their back, meaning, again, it's going to get to a point where they completely, they said, they send those nukes. They send those nuclear missiles to completely destroy this place. So, hey, you know what? Very, very soon it's going to get crazy. It says, Jeremiah chapter 59, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, the arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. We know what the north country is Russia, and the assembly of great nations from the north country is a Russian federation. It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her, meaning they're going to surround America. And there's nowhere America can run. Yeah, it says that the arrows, because the arrows are going to be the nuclear missiles. The modern day arrow is a nuclear missile. So, hey, going back to the article. It says the hidden cost of war. While Ukraine's defense facilities smolder after Russian strikes, the real casualty may be Western economic stability, as inflation, energy crises, and industrial decline ripple across the globe. A new Cold War playbook. Russia isn't just fighting Ukraine; it's testing the limits of Western resolve, probing for weaknesses in supply chains, morale, and political will. So, hey, there you have it. You can't stop it. Read it again, says Jeremiah chapter 51:7. Babylon hath been the cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah. So, hey, again, so these other nations have drunk other ways of America. And what, they literally become crazy off of that. Mad. So, yeah, I believe it's a point. Those were, I leave the link of the article in the description. Those will be blessed and edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, Bashim Gakodash Brakatham. Shalom.